Now, this guy ended up going to this group therapy session, ended up spending $3,500 for a weekend.
Did they even get high or do anything when they went out?
He just went there, $3,500 for the lady coach to tell him he should watch movies and walk like James Bond from the movies. That was the advice that he got.
If I spend $3,500 for a weekend to go find out some issues myself, I better be getting high, seeing some aliens or some fucking getting out of in some other dimension or some shit. Welcome, guys. Mind Muscle Connection, episode 39. This weekend is just me and Akira, and we're talking about things such as how sharing vulnerabilities can actually be a tool instead of a curse, like most people would think. How Facebook is not your therapist, nor does it care what's going on in your life. And how social media in general definitely is not a broadcast system for everybody's insecurities. Towards the end, we go on a tangent about how we've dabbled in spiritual journeys or holistic or alternative medicine. And then we start brainstorming on how something like this could be applied to people that are on a fitness or bodybuilding or some kind of fat loss transformation journey, to where by the end they can get a kind of transformation inside and out and become a completely different and better person. For those of you on Spotify listening, and for those of you watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, download it, satisfy the algorithm so we can reach a wider audience. Thanks for your support, guys, and enjoy. What's up, guys? Saturday, Mind Muscle Connection number 39. I think the second one we put out this year. It's me and Akira today, and Akira brought up a good topic that I think people can sometimes see it as a negative, but it can be a positive depending on how you portray it or what the purpose is of portraying it. Is vulnerability. And it's funny because when you first brought that up, the first thing I thought of was comic book characters, because there was the reason that people got so attached to certain ones is because they showed vulnerability. Like, I think even Stan Lee said Spider-Man was one of his favorites because of that. Like, the guy was a superhero, but he had money problems, allergies, dandruff, women issues. And it's just like he's showing vulnerability, and people can relate to that. So because of that, they get it's not because this guy's all powerful character, it's because of his weaknesses or his vulnerability that they can relate with. This is one of the reasons why I cannot fucking stand Superman. All these kids are Superman. I'm like, dude, fuck Superman. Like,
I know. I feel the same way, man. I see people wearing those T-shirts with the S symbol on it. I'm like, nah, take it off, man.
Absolutely. Like, after you're 8 years old, that Superman is no longer cool. You want to get into guys that, you think about Batman, like,
fucking love Batman.
You got to see, okay, well, most likely he's going to win, but how's he going to do it? Because he's got all these weaknesses coming after him. How's he going to overcome it? And, so there's vulnerability there. And so that's always that. I think as you get older, people make that shift because they may have, you're older, you have more life experiences, so you relate to them better.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a feedback loop to showing vulnerability, and it's a way to connect with people because it's like a feedback loop. You open up and talk about something, and then makes them want to express a vulnerability or something similar, and now you guys got something in common. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, I think, and we won't go into it because we've covered it before. We won't go into it too much. Is when you let the vulnerability take you over, and we've covered that a few times already about, this is my weakness, but I'm not going to let it stop me from this. I mean, you have it, you can relate to people with it, but it doesn't become you. And that's where there's kind of a line in the sand you have to be careful not to cross. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I know we've talked about it a bunch of times before, but I think there's a different angle that I want to take here. And that is, it's what makes us human, right? I mean, vulnerability is what makes us human in the first place. I mean, everybody loves a good underdog story. That's what makes the comic book characters so special, is because they start off as an underdog and they kind of build upon that. It's like, that moment when they hit that realization that, okay, it's all or nothing. This is what I have. Now I've got to do something about it. It's in that moment of weakness that they find their strength. And then I think there's something to take from that. When I'm pretty sure Dibs can relate to this, when he's competing as a performing athlete, there's times when I'm pretty sure there's times when he feels like absolute shit because he knows he has some weaknesses compared to the people that are already successful. But then again, he's talked about this before. He looks at them differently. He says, okay, now I got to stand next to those guys. What do they got? What can I work on that they have so that I can get better? Right. So it's in that moment of weakness where he finds his strength and he kind of just uses that. And I think that's the whole idea here, is to learn to use your weaknesses, use your vulnerability to actually make a difference. And I know it's not easy for a lot of people because they feel that being vulnerable is shameful. And that's something I really want to highlight in this podcast is shame. It's like everything that we do is built around shame. That's just how society has shaped us to be, right? If we reveal, like, for example, this is society's archetypes. Males cannot cry. They can't show weakness. They can't show anything that makes them look less than a man. Females, on the other hand, are supposed to cry. They're supposed to be vulnerable. They're supposed to be emotional. They're supposed to have emotions about their emotions. You know, it's crazy that way. It's like there's a dichotomy between males and females. And I think what I'd like to encourage people to do is to blur the lines, really blur the lines, because it's okay. We're humans. We have weaknesses. And if we share them, we become stronger. I've actually tried and tested this. You know, I've shared my weaknesses with previous mentors. I've shared my weaknesses with Dibs. He knows my weaknesses. I've shared some with you as well. There's times when I felt like shit and I feel like absolute shit. And I just tell myself, okay, well, what can I do right now to actually make myself do better? What do you think about that, Jed?
Yeah, there's certain people you want to relate to show your vulnerabilities with. There's like people close to me would know my vulnerabilities. Actually, I'm a pretty outspoken, transparent person, so a lot of people do know, but I don't let that skew who I am. If somebody knows that, if they see, like, let's say for instance, somebody that hires me to train them, they may see me outside the gym, which I kind of act like a completely different person, a little bit more laid back and stuff. I joke around, but that doesn't mean that I can't flip that switch and come back to like, hey, you're not fucking done yet. We got shit to do. So I learned that. I think I learned that being in the military, being out of work and in work. And that's so if people do know your vulnerabilities and know your weaknesses, that doesn't mean you can't. I'm trying to say, like, you can't let that be the picture you paint for yourself either. Right. So that's one thing I try not to do. And I have a hard time. I'm pretty personable with people. So you're around me long enough, you're going to know who I am, even if I don't say it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that once you get to know me that you're gonna break through my wall either. That doesn't mean that I can't flip the switch again. So that's a lesson I've had to learn, because there's been times where I've let too many people in, or too many people know too much, and then I get relaxed with them and don't do my part, or I don't keep on my toes, and then I get taken advantage of, or something negative happens where it's like I've had to kind of reset a little bit. So that's one thing that people need to be careful of is, I mean, showing your vulnerability isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, you can't let it change your image. You got to be authentic. Now, you can't be like full of shit.
Of course.
You got to be authentic. Just because I say I'm like this doesn't mean I can't go back and do, my usual stuff, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't, just because if I meet a client that I'm no longer training and we're hanging out and we're friends and shit, that doesn't mean if you come back to hire me, I'm not going to be a hard ass on you again.
Yeah.
That's the way, I guess that's the best way I could put it. And they'll be like, I thought we're friends. Like, yeah, but you're in the gym and now I'm at work and you have a job to do, and you can't use that as a way to fucking be slack, because then I'm not doing my job and you're not getting your money's worth. So we have to set back to this. You know, it's just like when I was in the military, when we're at work. You know, if I rip your ass about something at work, when we're out that night, it's not a big deal. You know, so I think it's the best way I could portray it. A lot of people have a hard time making that switch, and so when they do think they learn a weakness or vulnerability about you that they're in, and they expect you to lighten up on them, but that's not usually always the case. Is this making any sense to you at all? I mean,
of course. It's hard to I think what you're trying to, I think what you're trying to say is that don't overdo it. Is what you're saying. Like, don't like show your vulnerability when you really need to. You know, like talk to someone if you really need to, but then don't just spill everything out. I mean, respect your own boundaries, right? Yeah, everybody has boundaries.
Everybody, because some people may act like they have your best interest at heart, and they fucking.
Oh yeah, they will fuck you up. I've had that happen to me way too many times, and I've learned my lesson with that. So it's like, you know,
because you don't want to trust anybody.
Yeah, it changes your perspective on trust. But what I do is I'll give people the benefit of the doubt until I see a certain sign that tells me that they're probably going to do some shitty stuff, shitty things with the information that they have about me. So what I usually do is the only people that actually know me are people that I've built trust over a long period of time with, right? So for example, you know, Dibs and I, we've known each other for now, 2.5 years, maybe 3. And we slowly built that trust. Like he was on that Facebook group that I was moderating, and he was constantly active, and I loved his posts. We hit it off, and then, you know, he slowly let me in. I slowly let him in. And so we built that trust over time. And then I started sharing my vulnerabilities with him, and he shared his vulnerabilities with me. But at no time did we ever cross the line. I can tell you this, up until now, 3 years in the making with our friendship, I haven't crossed his boundaries. He hasn't crossed mine. We've gotten irritated with each other sometimes, but you know, it's common. It's going to happen. You and me too, man. We've had our misunderstandings before. It's life. It's life, you know, it's going to happen, man. But at the same time, you know, it's like you have to respect your own boundaries. Like, don't be this, you know, the best metaphor or example I can give, don't become like a hypochondriac. Like, don't spill out all your fucking problems. Be like, I have this problem, I have that problem, I have this problem. You ever see a hypochondriac? They'll be like, yeah, I got to go to the doc because I got pain in my toes, and now I got pain in my ass too. And then, you know, the pain's traveling up. So I got to go get my back adjusted at a chiropractor, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it never ends.
Yeah.
You know, there's those type of people. You can see them in the bar all the time. You ever see those guys at the bar? They just like hunch over the counter. They got their beer, and they're like, you ask them, how you doing, man? They'd be like, fuck. You know, and they start like going into their spiel of problems. And it's just like a whole fucking floodgate that just opened.
Yeah, you know, when you start being like that, you're bringing that fucking person down too. That's why you got to choose who you spill the beans to. Most of these people aren't even legitimately trying to help. They're just asking just to make conversation. If you start spilling all this negative shit and they get this first impression about you that you're just a fucking negative Nancy, they're gonna be like, nah, fuck this guy. When really you're just having a bad day. You need to talk to somebody that already knows you that can actually help. You know, so you do have to choose who you talk to, man. It's you know, because I've done that, and you got to learn, like, you got to have 1 or 2 people you can talk to about shit, but not everybody. Because if somebody comes up and asks you how's your day, and you really get into it, it might not be the one that needs to hear all that shit. So, not initially. Then maybe when they get to know you a little bit, and they can actually offer some advice. Because if someone doesn't really know you, they're not going to be able to offer you any fucking advice anyway. They don't know what you've done. They don't know what you have tried. They don't know what kind of person you are, how you're going to react to shit. They don't know that. So you have to, you do have to pick and choose who you go to for advice, and also because not everybody gives the best fucking advice. Some people say some dumb shit.
Use your judgment, right? Use your personal judgment. I don't want to say common sense, because what's common for me may not be common for other people. So I don't want to use that word, common sense. It's a bullshit word in my opinion. But use your personal judgment based on your experiences that you've had. Because here's the thing. Don't tell people everything. That's the best advice I can give everybody. Only tell them what you need to tell them. Don't tell them your plans. Don't tell them what you're going to do in the next 2 years, because you, like you said, you can't trust people. People tend to take advantage. They use information. I'll give you a prime example of this. I had a story idea, and I was doing this script for a short film that I had an idea about. This is a true story. I cannot make this shit up. I don't know how it got spilled, where it got spilled to, but you're gonna be surprised when you hear this. I wrote a story. It was a fantasy story. It was about, you know, the Lord of the Rings characters, you know, those elves and shit.
Yeah.
I took the magical characters, and I put them in a modern world. I'm talking like driving a Chevy, fucking Harley Davidsons on the street with elves riding them, you know, orcs kind of just blending into the neighborhood, and, you know, orcs being looked down upon, you know, like segregation, blah, blah, blah. So there was all these societal constructs that I created. I created this entire world. And then I fucking wrote it, and I spoke to someone who was in the film industry. I said, I had this idea. I want to do something with it. And I told him. Guess what happened?
They wrote it.
Netflix.
Yeah.
You know the movie Bright?
No.
With Will Smith?
No, I haven't seen it.
If you check it out, it's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know how it happened. It's somehow, I don't know what channels it went through, but it got to Netflix. And I was like, fuck.
Shit. Fucking
yeah, man.
Zuckerberg was listening to you on your phone. That shit. That's man, that sucks. Yeah, I could you do have to be careful who you talk to about shit.
Yeah.
I used to be very open about everything. In the past few years, I've kind of taken a step not to do that anymore. Because I mean, it's not, it doesn't change anything. It just, and another thing, if you got something that happened to you, you're talking about it with everybody, you start losing focus. You know, if I'm at the gym and I'm getting ready to go train because the group's coming in, we're getting ready to go have this training session, and the first 3 people ask me what's wrong, and I'm sitting there talking to them. By the time the training comes, I don't want to fucking train because I just talk about all this fucking negativity and shit, right? And actually, in that case, I'd rather bottle that shit up and get fucking angry and go in there and have a good training session. That's how I would fucking do it. I've a past couple incidences that have happened. I've learned to do that. It's been very, very beneficial rather than just talking about it. But I think we always go back to this. I was actually going to do an individual rant about this shit too, with the social media thing with expressing what's wrong or your vulnerabilities and stuff. When it came to that case, I would not do it unless it was going to help somebody else, or like me being a trainer and I have a page where people follow me and ask for advice and stuff. Then I would say, here's something I'm bad at. Here's how you can fix it if you guys have the same issue. But some of these guys will go on, they'll think Facebook's their therapist, and they'll just pour their shit out.
Oh, yes.
It's like, all right, and I've said this a lot. I've said this on here too. Those people that are coming on and trying to support you in the comments, I swear to God, I am probably 98% sure that they are doing that so they feel better, so they feel like they did something to help when they didn't really do shit. Yep. Because when my friends go on there and they have issues, you know what I do? I will message them personally. I will go talk to them in person or something like that. I won't just leave a comment or a sad face or some shit on there. You know, I've had that recently happen, and I did not leave a comment on their shit. I just messaged them. It's like, hey, what happened? Okay. Well, and then when I came into town, I stopped by and saw how they were doing. Right. That's actually showing something. Like, but just putting a comment, oh, I'm sorry, sad face, heart, doesn't fucking do shit. But I mean, I see grown men that carry themselves like a badass that are doing this shit so they can get emotional support from people that do not give a fuck about you on social media. And it's just sad.
It's sad, man.
Really, and the thing is, if you really have a fucking problem, go get some help from a professional. Go to somebody close and talk to them in person and get some actual help. Because crying about it on Facebook just doesn't change a goddamn thing.
Doesn't.
And I've seen this from some friends of mine. If you're listening, listen the fuck up, because I am including you in this. It's just like nobody fucking cares. Because you went on Facebook and you cried about your fucking problem, doesn't mean it's getting fixed. If you need help so bad that you're having to reach out to somebody that can actually help, not to social media. Because all you're doing is just showing people that what triggers they can use to fucking get to you. And you're making these fucking people do shit to boost their self-esteem because they don't give a fuck about yours. They're just doing this so they think they did something. And it just infuriates me when I see people do this. It's like, at the same time, they could have reached out to somebody that probably didn't see that post and talked to them and asked for help and gotten some real fucking help.
Yeah. I say this, I don't know how many, this is probably a gazillion times I've said this. It's not social media itself that's the problem. The platform alone is a great tool to expand your marketing, your social awareness, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get that. And I get that 100%. The issue I have is the way people feel the need to broadcast their lives on this platform, hoping that someone would reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I can fix your problem. I'm the angel from the heavens. I've come down to fix your specific problem. I've chosen you out of everybody else to come and fix your problem. That's what they expect. You look at Twitter. You know, Twitter now has actually gotten a lot better. People are posting about business shit and opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Before Twitter became the Twitter now, people used to tweet about their fucking lives. Like, I am now going to take a shit in the washroom. I'm not even kidding you. I've seen posts like that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go take my first dump in the morning. It's like, yeah, here's a picture of my toilet right before I take my. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Seriously, it's like that kind of shit just pisses me off. It's like, who the fuck wants to know that?
There's like, I'll be scrolling through and there'll be a post come up that says, hey guys, gonna go do this, kind of feeling bad, but the workout's going to be great. And I'm like, who the fuck is this asshole? Oh, that's me. That's a memory from 7 years ago when I used to post that shit. And I start like ripping this person in my head and I look at the post. So when I'm saying this shit, you guys, it's because most of the time it's because I used to fucking do it.
Yeah, when we're young,
I used to post everything I do. I remember not too long ago, another one came up and I was like, no one fucking cares. Oh, that's an old memory post for me. Not sharing that. And I think because being new to it and shit, I think we're also, because we see what everybody else does, instead of trying to think outside the box, we just follow suit. So like the way we're conditioned to use it may not be the best way to use it. Being business now, I've learned a lot better how to use it. And I still don't post that much. Like, I need to do more because I'm trying to fill some spots training and stuff. But I get so involved with training who I got now, I forget to do the marketing part. And sometimes look, it's like, man, I haven't posted shit in forever. And I'll do that. But the thing is, at the same time, I don't post shit just to post shit. So if I can't think of anything to post, it usually because I don't have anything good to post, so I don't worry about it. Posting myself training, I do that once in a blue moon.
Yep.
For some reason, it gets a lot of likes when I do. I don't know why.
I actually love those posts, man. You should keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if I do, it's I try to make it a little bit flamboyant with like the American flag. I gotta make it interesting because I do think part of the reason is I do let some of my character out because it separates me from the rest of the trainers. Actually, sometimes I think that whole like black and white really attracts people because I can have a good time and shit, but I can also fucking crack down when I need to. Mm-hmm. And I really think that's a lesson. And we've been talking about this today already. I think that's something people need to learn how to do is, hey, work hard, play hard. I think that is people play too hard. They play too much, but they don't work hard. And I know, so there's nothing wrong with playing hard, but you got to do the work too. So, you know, I've always had a work hard, play hard mentality. So, you know, you can see me training my ass off and dieting and regimen and stuff. And then, you know, after the contest, you can see me out having a good time at night, you know, and be like, well, what the fuck? Like, well, yeah, I mean, that's the balance.
And you know what? Here's the thing about that too, is like the moment. So let's say people, and this is another issue with, well, this also goes back to vulnerability. It's like the moment the people who have followed you, for example, they watch your posts, right? Now you're going out after you've done all that hard work, you're going out, you're enjoying yourself. The moment you post a picture of yourself enjoying yourself, guess what the fuck happens? I don't know if this happened to you, but people start to fucking judge. Yep. They'd be like, how could, you're on this diet. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm on my cheat meal. Relax your ass. I'm human. You know, it's like, and then you start getting into this whole fucking argument about, and then start justifying yourself, which is why I don't post about my personal life except for progress pictures, right? If you look at my posts, it's either motivational topics, motivational quotes, or my progress. That's it. It's like what's happening to me, what inspiration I can give to others, the lessons I've learned, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else except that. Every single one of my posts up until now.
I don't put myself in that position to get that backlash. Yeah. The only time I do is when I go home on vacation for the holidays, because I'm already in an environment where people were going to expect me to not. Like when I'm home and I go to the gym at home and post that, it should hit people like, oh, fuck, he's still working out on vacation. He shouldn't be, you know, but unless it's those like 1 or 2 weeks out of the year, I don't, if I do a cheat meal or something, which I rarely ever fucking do, I don't post it because I just don't want. Because sometimes I bet you I'll see people that are following. Well, he did it, so I'll go do it. It's like that's not.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You're not at a point to do this yet. You just been here 2 weeks. You've been dieting. You don't get one yet, and if you can't deal with that, then there's a deeper issue we have to look into. Because if you're trying to justify your actions because you saw someone else do it, that's like a childish fucking problem.
I see it as Simon Says. That's how social media is. But Simon Says, like Simon Says, fucking do it. Okay, he's got it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and you should honestly. That's another thing too about the social media. Everybody needs to be focused on their own goals. They're too worried about what everybody else is doing.
For sure.
Who cares, man? Like before our contest, these people start looking up everybody's photos from that's hashtag the contest. I'm like, yeah, just give yourself some more fucking emotional damage and get yourself ready. Like, Jesus Christ, man, stop looking up everybody because not half of them aren't going to look like that when they show up. Mm-hmm. I mean, just knock it off. You just want to put more fucking psychological warfare in your damn head before you get into the contest.
Yeah.
And people always worried about everybody else. And dogging on. Another thing I've started recently not liking is people dogging others for being successful. I've had people when I was going on vacation, like got mad because somebody, what was it like? Something about happened to their car or whatever, and they just happened to state what type of car it was, and the way they said it, they were pissed. I was like, don't get mad because somebody's successful. The fuck's your problem?
Yeah,
like that's fucked up. You don't be hating on somebody because they worked their ass off and made it and got somewhere, or however they got it. It doesn't matter because how does that stop you from getting the same thing? It doesn't.
Classic example of projecting insecurities onto successful people. That's a classic example. It's like you're unsuccessful. Okay, take it out on the successful people.
Like people that can't get in a relationship because they're a fucking toxic piece of shit and they fucking hate on all the other relationships out there. Oh, well, they're so and so. I've started seeing this shit a lot lately with people who will just start ragging other people behind their back, and you're like, why? Like you'll get done talking to someone. And someone else will come up and just start ragging on the person you were just talking to. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? First of all, I haven't seen any of the things you're mentioning, which they could be there. But if they are, I'll see them. But I'm not going to judge them until I see those things. Or I'm not going to decide they're going to be my friend or not until, I see those things. And what does it matter to you?
Yeah.
Like, why are
Who the fuck are you? Who is you? Like, get the fuck. This actually happened to me, Jed. This happened to me. I'll tell you that story. This was in the summertime, and I was in a parking lot. It was a very tight parking spot, like maybe 6, 7 cars max. I'm pulling my car out, and there was this other car that was reversing behind me, and I accidentally dinged this guy. Right, this is like bumper to bumper, just like a slight little ding, not even a scratch. Right, guy gets out, starts getting pissed off about, this is my fucking car. I own a club down the road. I need to fucking get this done. It's going to cost me $3,000, blah, 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 blah. And okay, so I'm trying to deal with this guy because he's obviously, he's lost his cool, and I'm trying to calm his ass down. Meanwhile, 2 other dudes, mofos, pull up, and they see what's happening. They get out of their car. They come over to this guy, and all of a sudden they say, yeah, charge him $1,000. Charge him $1,500. Charge him $1,500. I'm like, what? Where did you come from? Which jungle did you crawl out from? What the fuck? Who are you? Piling on and asking that guy to charge me money for his damage. There was not even any damage to his car. It was clean. It was just a slight ding, and he was making a huge issue out of it. And these 2 random strangers just came out.
Not minding their own business.
Not minding their own business.
The reason I bring this up is what I usually see is if people are talking to you, ragging on, I don't know. Sometimes it could be a fair warning, but I have seen isolated incidents where it's just because that person is insecure and they're like, don't be. It almost comes off as don't be paying them attention because then I won't get attention. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk shit about them so that you don't talk to them. Yeah. That's only, because like if I have a good friend and I see them getting along with somebody, I'll be like, hey, I'm not trying to get in the way, but this is legit. Watch out for this. Have a good day. If they're cool to you, no problem. But I am going to tell you, because you're a friend of mine, this is a fucking record with this person. Here's what they usually do. That's different. But I see where people come right up and will just like stupid shit, like how they look and how they talk. And it's like, what the fuck? Why do I care? So, and oh
my God,
I think that is I guess that could be a negative way of expressing a vulnerability because you have an insecurity. So you're expressing it by trying to get that person's attention by talking shit about somebody else.
That's the other side of it, right?
Yeah, it's just the reason we bring this up is because vulnerabilities can get the best of you. And, when you're doing stuff in our field, trying to change yourself, trying to be better, lose weight, bodybuild, whatever the fuck it is, these things are going to pop up and you're going to be tested. And you have to realize, how do I get this fixed or rendered or get around it so I don't lose track? And it's definitely not crying about it on social media. That's not going to fix it because the people I say do it didn't help. There's ways to handle it. There's ways to express it. There's certain people to express it to for help. You need to have that game plan because when they do come up to test you, the quicker you can get it rendered, the quicker you can get on your way. But when you just fall into it, sink into it, and whine about it to everybody, on social media and stuff, it's not helping. It's just what you're doing is you're making the snowball bigger going downhill. You're not fixing it. So express your vulnerabilities. I get it. Do that with somebody that's close you can relate to and can help you. Build that connection with that person. In a business aspect, it does help to show that we are people and we can relate. Like if I can't relate to my clients at some level, how are they gonna build a connection and want to listen to me and look to me for trust? It's
rapport building. It comes down to that.
I put down that I was always this perfect fucking athlete and they can't relate to that. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be easier for them to find ways. Well, of course, when you're always like that, I guess it's kind of easy to do this, and they'll find reason to fall off. When it was like, dude, I was in your shoes 5-6 years ago, and I know exactly what's going through your fucking head right now. And when you can do that because you have the same vulnerability, or you have the same, you've been through the same shit, mm-hmm. It gives them less wiggle room to find a reason to fail. There's less excuses. So that's a way of using it for a positive advantage for you and for someone else. And when I see people in places I used to be, I try to relate, to not necessarily verbatim tell them, because sometimes they'll think you're full of shit, but to find a way to where they're like, oh, he only would have known this if he'd have been in the same spot. Mm-hmm. You know? So that's a way to use it for a positive.
Well, as a coach, I talk about, managing emotions. And I think I'll be doing a seminar very soon with Dibs on his other group. We're going to talk about this. I don't want to give away too much, but what I can tell you is that there's a way to use your vulnerability to self-inspect what's going on, sort of introspect, what's happening to you on a personal level. So in other words, what I'm trying to get at is use yourself as a confidant, right? I mean, you don't necessarily always have to go to someone to talk about your issues.
Is this the whole third person, look at yourself in third person?
Well, kind of, but this is more of writing a journal, which is what I'm trying to get to. That's the point that I'm trying to make, is keep a journal of what's happening in your life. Because you know what? When you put something on paper, you put pen to paper, you write down what's happening, it automatically gives you some insight on what you could possibly do to manage those emotions. I don't know what it is about writing on paper. I just find that there's a connection between the mind and putting things on paper. It's like your thoughts coming out into reality, and it's like you have it in front of you. And
when you read a story, you visualize it, right?
Exactly. So you're visualizing that shit. It's like a diary. And people laugh. It's like, why would I want to keep a diary? I'm not a teenager. No, you don't fucking need to be. It's okay to have a fucking diary. I do. In fact, I keep a log of what's going on, all my business plans, my ideas, the events that happen, personal things that happen. I keep a log of it, right? It's in my archive. Every time I take a look at it, I find something new. It's like inspiration for myself. But so use yourself as a confidant, as a person that you can confide in. There's nothing wrong with that.
You can even do that with your daily routine, and write it down and visualize it, and then be like, okay, how could I have not caused this mistake before? This is a more like not in-depth way of using the same exercise, I guess, but you look at issues like, oh, well, this time frame I was close to here, I could have went there and got something to eat, or I could have shifted gym time to here. It's the same thing. And then after a while you keep doing it, you get to where you can just instinctively do it in your head. But I mean, there's another example of writing shit down, because there's a lot of times where clients will have issues with their timeline. I'll be like, write down what you do from sun up to sundown, and I'll look at it and point out 2 small things that could change that fixes everything. So the same could work with your life in general. You write down how you're feeling, what emotionally happened to you today, and then you read it and you'd be like, man, that sounded stupid. I shouldn't have fucking reacted like that. Something like that. It's I could definitely see that being positive. Speaking of, you said looking into yourself as a confidant. Did you hear the exercise I talked about on the last one, about where you just sit there and you ask a certain question, then you keep asking deeper and deeper to get into what's going on? Like, for instance, if you're sitting there like, okay, why do I want to lose weight? Well, it's because I'm fat. Why am I fat? Well, it's because I like to eat, but what triggers me eating all the time? Well, and you just keep going down to where you find out you got some fucking insecurity that's mentally bothering you. And that's the whole root of, of what's, it's not just, so I want to lose weight. Well, we got to get to the center of the fucking jawbreaker, not just the outside layer.
Yeah. You're actually doing something subconsciously that we use in the NLP world as a tool. So it's called chunking up and chunking down.
Yeah.
And essentially it is exactly what he said it was. You ask either these deeper questions or those lighter questions. So chunking up essentially means coming back up to the surface. So when I deal with clients, I do exactly the same process you mentioned. They'll start telling me about their problems, and I'll tell them, tell me more, or ask them, tell me more. What is that doing? It's getting deeper in. And so it's chunking down, right? So so they start talking about it more and more. And then I'll say, what does that look like to you on a specific level? And that's when they get into specifics. And if I want to go up and higher to the surface, they're spending way too much time in that detailed space and you're getting uncomfortable. I'll say, okay, what's the overall big picture look like to you? That's coming back up to the surface. Like, what does the big picture look like to you? So why am I mentioning this? This is also a great tool to use for yourself. It's like you said, Jed, you get deeper into the issue. Why am I doing this? Okay, what happens when I do that? And if it gets too uncomfortable and you're trying to like, okay, I feel very, very, I feel like I'm in a dark spot. Let me come back up for air. Okay, let me ask myself some lighter questions. What does the big picture look like to me? Why is this so important to me? Right. And so you kind of dabble in both very deep questions and very light questions to kind of get a perspective on the solution that you're trying to seek. Right. And it really does help. And it's a beautiful, beautiful technique that you use.
So let's say we're coming back up to the surface. And when you're mentioning this, I'm mentioning as each layer has a specific solution. And the first steps, like baby steps, like for instance, let's say, I think the example we used on the last episode was the girl who just wanted bigger ass. And then we come to find out it's because she's tired of.
I didn't listen to that.
You didn't listen to it?
I didn't get a chance, man. I was so busy with stuff going on.
So the girl with the flat ass is wanting a bigger ass because her friend keeps getting all the guys. And what it comes down to is she's not getting enough attention. She hasn't been getting laid. She doesn't have a boyfriend, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, go back up to the first layer, the jawbreaker. What's the smallest thing you can do to fix that? Go to a gym, find a trainer, or start eating better, workout or something. And then that gets deeper into the problem. Like you did that. Now you're fixing it. Now let's go out. Now, just something like if somebody's got a huge insecurity and that's why they overeat, now they're fat. It's like, okay, the first step, now you know what it is. Instead of dealing with what's super in deep right there bothering you, let's take a step into starting getting the weight off and get you a little more comfortable. And then that's how I don't know. Like it seems
that is exactly the way we do it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would take like a small step towards. Okay, well on the surface you're saying it's a fat loss, it's a weight problem, but down deep we're saying it's a really big fucking insecurity. Mm-hmm. So let's start getting the weight off, and as we get deeper, that'll make the insecurity not so bad. Then it'll be easier to fix when you get to that point.
Exactly,
like a confidence thing. Exactly, it's like. You find out you're not confident, you want to lose weight. It finds out, you're uncomfortable going out. You're comfortable wearing certain types of clothes. You want to do this and that, but you're afraid to go out because it's a confidence thing. Okay. So to fix the confidence, instead of doing all this coaching, teaching you to be proud of stuff, let's give you something to be proud about. Let's start getting the weight off.
Yeah. I'm a living example of that, dude. I had clothes that were in my closet that I was so fucking conscious of. It's like, the moment I put it on and it doesn't fit me, I get so frustrated. I'm like, fuck, I thought this was going to fit me. And, now when I put those clothes on, I'm like, whoa, shit, look at you, man. You look fucking good. And I just recently posted pictures of me modeling. Like I got scouted by a modeling agency recently. And they came up and like, yeah, we want some pictures. We want to do a photo shoot of you. I'm like, wait a second, I'm trying to get a photo shoot done now? That's amazing. So this really does help. Like those questions that you ask yourself, if you're not confident enough, you go deeper in and find out what the root of the problem is. The other thing I wanted to mention was people with a lot of insecurities, it's very important to start at the surface level first. I want you to think about this like an iceberg. You've seen an iceberg, right? Mm-hmm. When you see it visually, do you think that's the entirety of the iceberg?
Oh, it's fucking, a lot of it's underwater. A lot of it you can't see.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's happening to us. It's like everything that we think we know, we don't, because the moment we see things visually, it's only the surface. Someone's going through something. We don't know what the root of the problem is. Right. So in order to get to the root of the problem, we have to go deeper into the iceberg to get to that issue. Now, at times they may be uncomfortable divulging that information. So that's why it's important to balance out the type of questioning that you do. Sometimes you want to stay at the surface. Sometimes you want to go deeper. It's something called in our world, it's called fractionation. You ever heard not applied to math terms. Okay. So I'll make it very simple for everybody. Okay. Fractionation is when you go in and out of trance. This is a hypnotic term. And so in hypnosis, what we do is the moment we put someone under trance, we bring them back up, okay, so to conscious awareness, and then we drop them again. And the moment you drop them again, they go deeper and deeper into trance. And that's the whole concept. And this happens to us, if you think about it, when we watch movies. You watch a movie, you're pulled into the movie, you stop for a break, you go do something else, you come back and you play the movie again, you're now sucked in even deeper. The same thing applies to what we're talking about right now. When someone is not comfortable talking about their vulnerabilities and insecurities to us as coaches, our job is to fractionate, because it's important for them to understand that we're trying to build a trust between, client and coach. So what I do is I'll start off with the surface question, bring them slowly deeper in using specifics. And then once I find that they're slightly uncomfortable with those specifics, I'll come back up to the surface. And the moment I go back down again, they're now comfortable enough because they've gone deeper into trance or rapport with me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. That's important to understand.
Yeah. It seems like I find myself doing that on instinct when I talk to people when I first meet them, because you can detect when somebody's a little uncomfortable and you got to come back and get a breath of air and then go back in.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't have to do that with people. They're usually pretty much, with the content I put out, people already know what they're in store for and they know what they need mentally to come in and hire me, because I'm very transparent. I don't sugarcoat. If you watch my YouTube or my Instagram, you know exactly what type of person I'm going to be. And you also deep down know if you're going to be able to handle that or not. So, I've even had guys come in and they'll want to do the plans and stuff, and I'll write it all up and then they don't show, because deep down they're like, okay, they're getting close to starting this. And they're like, okay, no, this guy he's going to fucking lay into me if I'm not ready for this shit. So I usually don't have to go on these huge conversations, but sometimes I do. And sometimes I do get to where, like, okay, I'll be listening to them talking. They're like, okay, what's really bothering this person? Because this has been going on a while. This is not just some fat loss goal, because it has been getting worse and worse. And, they're finding all these excuses for not fixing it. They've had chances to fix it. They haven't. Like, what's getting into it? What trigger do we have to find to wake this fucking person up? And that's what, if I start getting to that, then I'll start digging deeper.
So I have a question. Have you ever had a client that's come back to you and said, you know what? Me talking about my personal issues to you has made me really uncomfortable, and I really don't like it. Has that ever happened to you?
No. If they did, that's a good question. How would I handle that?
Yeah, how would you handle it?
I'd be like,
I've had that happen to me. I've had it actually happen to me.
Well, man, you fucking opened up. We're trying to find out deep, like, what's really causing this problem. Because obviously it's not just because you want to lose weight, because you've had chances to fix it. You haven't. You've progressively gotten worse. Even when you notice you're getting fat, you keep getting fatter. So what the fuck's really bothering you? So I'm doing my job trying to figure out what is really bothering you. So you'll finally wake the hell up and start doing something about it. So the information you divulge is on you. All I'm trying to do is find out what it's going to take to wake you up and realize that the slope you're going down, there's going to be a point of no return. That's probably, I was like, and if you're uncomfortable with that, with the extent I'm putting into doing my actual job, then I'm not the guy for you. You can go find some corporate textbook cookie cutter trainer. And then when you come back to me, you can go ahead and spend the money on them, not get your money's worth, come back to me and spend money on me to actually fix it. Or you can skip that and save money by hiring me now and getting it done. So your choice. Yeah, that's usually when I start getting that, like they start saying, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. I tell them that because I've had that happen. They're like, well, this one's kind of cheaper down here, so I'm going to go down there. Then
really? So they've actually told you that you're going to go whoa.
And they'll come back and I'll be like, now imagine hiring me now after you already spent money on them. And if you'd hired me to start with, which one's cheaper?
Wait, so they've come back to you?
Yeah. I've had them try this stuff out.
Damn.
Oh,
all that money.
That makes me smile ear to ear. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't bother me at all. Is I'm just like, now what's cheaper? You just wasted a bunch of money on something that didn't work. You know, it's like you buy the Wish version, then you're like, fuck, I should have got the real one. And you buy the real one, and then you're so many dollars in the hole where you bought the Wish one. You know, it's just
Wish. I hardly use that, man. That app is so sketch, man. Shit.
It takes like 8 months to come in, and it's not like the picture. You're like, fuck this.
Someone ordered a PS5 on Wish for like $5, and they got a fucking broken ass. The pictures show like a big ass PS5. It looks perfect, like white and everything. And you get it. It's on YouTube, man. The guy gets it, and he's like, it's all broken in pieces. He takes it out of the package. Like, you can see his face unboxing it. It's like, I got a PS5. He cuts it open.
Like broken, or you had to put it
like,
together?
No, it's broke. Like, it was in pieces.
Oh shit!
It was in pieces, like literally, like parts like falling out, and he's like wires dangling and shit.
What the? I used to buy some shit off there. I've bought shoes and stuff off there just to wear like when I train people, because like I walk so much, whatever,
right,
mine's gonna fall apart. So I'll go to Ross or Wish and buy. And because the only time I spend really good money on shoes is like cowboy boots or my gym shoes that I wear to work out in or something like that. I have like one nice pair of tennis shoes I wear out to go out in, and I never wear them because I never go out. So I got a pair of Pumas that look good with jeans and shit, and I've worn them maybe 4 or 5 times back at home.
I mean, you get some good deals on it, right? But, you know, just to go back to what you were saying, yeah, you're right. It's actually like people buying shit on Wish and then coming back and saying, hey, fuck, you know, I regretted my decision. I've had that happen to me too, as, you know, as someone who really cares about clients. I had this one guy, I'll never forget this fucker. Sorry, I don't mean to judge him, but I'll never forget this guy. He comes to me and he says, oh, what makes you different from other coaches? I said, the one word I simply used, I care about your growth. I really do. And then, you know, he didn't believe me, and he said, okay, fine. Let me get back to you on this. And I gave him a sample. A trial session. He really enjoyed it. He says, but I still find you expensive. I'm going to go somewhere else. Went to someone else. Guess how much he spent? So picture this. I charge on a personal level. This is just before we started this whole thing, as a solo individual coach, I used to charge $450 an hour for one session. Okay. And usually what I would do is I'd space those sessions out for a month. Now, this guy ended up going to this group therapy session, ended up spending $3,500 for a weekend. I am not even joking about that number.
They even get high or do anything when they went out?
He just went there, $3,500 for the lady coach to tell him he should watch movies and walk like James Bond from the movies. That was the advice that he got. His issue was confidence. The lady told him, watch movies with class actors like George Clooney, Daniel Craig, and copy how they walk and behave. That was it. $3,500 for that shit. And he comes back to me. He says, oh shit, man. I blew $3,500. I regret it. I was like, well, you know what? Now it's too late because I've got my schedule booked up. I'm sorry, I can't work with you. He started begging me. Shit.
If I spend $3,500 for a weekend to go find out some issues with myself, I better be getting high, seeing some aliens or some fucking getting out of in some other dimension or some shit. Like, I've actually looked into one of those retreats, like where you go out and do the ayahuasca and stuff, and the shaman.
Yeah, have you done that?
I really want to. I think there's one on one of the islands here. I'm going to look up some prices. It's like for a weekend, you go out and everything's paid for, and you just have some kind of real experience.
Let me know.
People have said they come back and their whole perception of life just fucking changes after. And I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. I think too far off topic, but when I listen to podcasts about stuff like this, something tells me that I need to do that would be almost like a final piece in the puzzle to help me put a lot of shit together in my head and how I do things. So I've always been on this side quest to find stuff like that, to figure out what more is out there, because I do think the way I do shit, the way I think and stuff. I think it's a piece missing. I think doing that will give me that missing piece. And so and it's just been over the past couple of years. And because I've told people I've practiced microdosing shrooms and shit, and it's just done an absolute fucking wonder for me. As far as even my sister, when I went home, she was like, "You're so much happier this time." And I was like, "Yeah." And I told her, I mean, I don't give a shit. I'm at the point now, my parents, my grandparents want to judge me. I don't fucking care. You don't take me out of the wheel. I don't fucking care. If I'm, the way I don't let that shit bother me anymore, about what they think about shit I do. So,
it does help with addressing, because I think it's connected. Like what you're talking about is connected to vulnerability, because, going for retreats like ayahuasca, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
It's to face your own vulnerabilities, right? Now they say don't do ayahuasca if you're in a bad spot. Like if you're really they say don't do that. It's gonna really fuck you up. But if you're just looking to find yourself and address some of the potential issues that you might have with yourself, then it's a great place to start if you really want to do it. Microdosing, I'm pretty sure it does help. I've looked into it.
Absolutely.
You're a living example. I still want to try it.
The first thing I noticed, now let me get this straight, guys. I'm not like getting high and hallucinating and shit. I'm doing something you don't even feel it. You don't even feel it. But the next thing I knew, I wasn't taking, Prozac anymore. The Adderall I barely use because I didn't need it as much. I just noticed that that I didn't sweat the small shit anymore.
That's really cool.
If somebody pissed me off, I just put the phone down and would not say shit to them. If something happened because it pissed me off, I'd be like, whatever, it's irrelevant. Just let it go. The first time I did it for a month. Every 3 days I would take a 0.1 gram or something. And the guys, this ain't medical advice or anything. This is anecdotal. This is for entertainment purposes. Do not of course condone that we're suggesting you do this.
Please consult with your physician before doing any of this. We're just talking. We're just two friends and business partners talking,
just telling past experiences. When you guys get deeper in this podcast, you're gonna find out me, Dibs, we all got some past experiences. I'll probably blow you all the fuck away. But I just noticed that I think the first thing I ever noticed was to be able to look at something and be like, that is irrelevant. It has to go. And then go back to what I was doing. Because there was when I first started doing it, a certain incident happened that usually would cause me to go through the fucking roof and would eat up so much of my time emotionally, exhaust me emotionally. I would have dragged it out or going crazy about it for months and talking to people about it and all this. But when it happened, I was like, huh. And then that was the end of it. I told that person how I felt, and then I erased all the info and I moved on. And I was like, okay, well, if it can make me do that, there's some truth to this shit. You're
sold. You're like, okay, I'm doing it.
I am sold. I'm sold. And
so how do you ingest it? You just like put it in your mouth or something?
It's ground into caps.
Ah.
So I did that. And I fucked around with it for a while. Like I'd take a couple here, and then I just really noticed, man, I'm not really that bothered by shit today. But then I looked up how to actually microdose to get like permanent solutions. And but I mean, there's people that say that shit like builds more neural pathways in the brain, that builds more it resets the chemical imbalances in the brain. So you can there's certain ways to do it, but it can like reset the brain chemistry from what I've heard. I've read a little bit about it. Okay. I know people, the last people on earth you think would do it, they start talking on podcasts and stuff, and they talk about how they do it occasionally, like, and you're just like, fuck, I didn't even know this person was into this shit. And they damn, no wonder they're so level-headed all the fucking time. Like they just don't let shit bother them at all. Discover what these things can really do. I don't want to get too out there or conspiracy or spiritual or in depth, but I have looked into it a bit, and it does. I don't know why. It's really weird because I'm usually not into this shit, but this shit really piques my interest. I don't know why. Like
it does too. Mine too, man.
When I start looking into it, I get balls deep in the rabbit hole, and I'm like, why am I even looking at this shit right now? I need to be going back to work.
We should do an episode on this.
We could. It would be cool if we could get somebody that's a practicing shaman or somebody to come on. I would love
it. I would fucking love it, dude. I will be there.
Questions all fucking day. So
Because you know what? Here's the thing about nature, man. Nature has so many solutions. That's why it's built that way. We're coexisting with nature, which is the natural healing solution to most of our issues that we face, for mental issues, for health issues.
When you look into this shit, you'll find out the conspiracy, how much of a is or isn't a conspiracy that Big Pharma really is. When you see doctors that are taking shit grown from the earth and curing fucking mental disorders with it, people with PTSD that are a lot better off than they were on their meds, people with anxiety or depression. And it's because they're using stuff grown from the earth that actually have a big effect on your brain chemistry.
Yeah.
One guy, you ever get a chance, look up podcast with Dorian Yates. He's like 6-time Mr. Olympia, probably one of the most famous bodybuilders ever. And he's really deep into that spiritual shit now. And he has his own retreat where they go off and do the ayahuasca and stuff. And when you hear him talk about stuff, it's really interesting because, when he was back in the day, he was just go, fucking hardcore bad motherfucker. And now he still is. And he still has that aura about him, but he's on a more spiritual level. And
Dorian Yates?
Dorian Yates. Yeah, Dorian Yates. In fact, there was a podcast he was on with a woman where he talks about all this stuff really in depth. And if I can find it, I'll send it to you. He was talking about manifestation, and he's like, when I look back when I was training for the Olympia, I was manifesting before I even knew what manifesting was. I eat, sleep, and breathe, live training and bodybuilding. And, I always envisioned being Mr. Olympia. I trained like Mr. Olympia and I was winning Mr. Olympia. He's like, and that's that, I was doing it before I even knew what it was. And, he tells about his first experiences doing the ayahuasca and DMT and stuff. And it's really interesting shit. And, before we end, I'll say this one thing that does pique my interest about some of it. A lot of people believe that shrooms will help you deal with vulnerabilities because when people hallucinate, that's just not shit showing up out of nowhere. That's in your fucking head. Yeah. And it's something you're supposed to be dealing with. And I have talked to people personally that have done the super dosing to where they try to deal with it all at once, and they'll see some crazy shit, and then they'll sit back and like digest it for about a week, and they'll be like, oh, that's what the fuck was going on. And then they're like a different person, not when they first come out of it, but after they analyze everything that happened, they realize what the message was that they were trying to get out of it. And then you look into some other stuff where everybody does it and they all see the same shit. And it's like, okay, well, this isn't a psychedelic. What the fuck's happening? You guys are like either seeing something that we can't see without it, or you're going somewhere. And I'm trying to sound too weird, but you look into it and you tell me if you're not getting the same vibe too when you read about this stuff. So, and the reason I bring it up is, I see a lot of the minorest to majorest mental issues get in people's ways with their results, the insecurities, the depression, the anxiety, and there are all these fucking meds that raise their blood sugar through the fucking roof, the SSRIs that I honestly don't think if you these medicines are designed to make you dependent on them. Oh yeah.
And make it worse.
Yeah. And if you miss a dose, you will lose your fucking mind. I know this because I've done it.
Me too.
Hopefully she doesn't get pissed at me saying this, but I think some of that also contributed to like some bad parts of marriage right there. Cause I think we were both on them and we didn't know. And, you miss a dose, you fight about some crazy ass shit or whatever. And it's like, this can't be healthy. I can't take this for the rest of my fucking life. There's gotta be a way to fix this. And then you start looking into, okay, well, this hippie shit's fucking dumb, but there might be something. And eventually you get to where like, fuck, it's right here in my hand. It's not going to fuck up how I do my shit. And the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. And then all of a sudden after about a week, you're like, what the fuck?
I'll tell you something before I end this. I will tell you something that really helped me. And this is, a lot to do with the whole natural way that you were talking about. Look into this lifestyle called Ayurveda, Ayurveda, Ayurveda. It's a natural.
Spell it again. Let me write it down.
Ayurveda, Ayurveda.
Okay.
It is a natural healing lifestyle that originated from the south of India, where my mom's from. And my mom's uncle has a center where I went to. I spent an entire month in this center to heal my depression. And the entire course was oil massages, and they had this thing called the Dara, which is basically a yogurt mixed with some other herbs or some shit, and they drip this liquid onto your head for about an hour as the guys are massaging you with natural oils. And they put you on the special diet. Everything is natural, no oil in any of the foods. You're eating only healthy cooked vegetarian food, and you're drinking only the natural stuff that they give you. Dude, in a month, I was healed. My depression was a lot better. I was level-headed. I came back to Canada. I was like, new leash on life. Let's go.
Could you imagine trying to lose like 15 pounds for your high school reunion, and then finding out that you can't, because you got all these fucking mental problems and
yeah.
And instead of just losing 15 pounds, you do that and do these like holistic other ways of fixing yourself, and then you're just like a completely different, better person.
Different beast, man.
And you're like, fuck, I was just trying to lose 10 pounds and realized I got these and I did some fucking shrooms. And now I'm like this whole goddamn new person.
Yeah.
This is the shit that some of us trainers deal with, because we get somebody on this journey of weight loss and realize they've got all these fucking problems getting in the way. And it's like, shit, well, and this is what our project is trying to focus on, is that shit, because that gets in the way. So many, it's like I said before, you can hand a plan to anybody, they can follow it. Okay, well, why is it not working? Usually, and why do they keep falling off of it? Because a lot of these issues get in their way. And it's like, okay, well, how can we start doing weight loss and bodybuilding programs where we also help with that shit on a deeper level? I mean, I can give experience and give coaching, and I can usually say stuff to trigger people to kind of either decide if they are really serious about this or not, because they'll either say, okay, I'm down, okay, I'll clean myself up, or they'll fucking leave. But it's like, what if we could find legit, badass, I don't want to see legit, but other ways, alternative ways, I'll say, not legit, alternative ways of dealing with this to where it completely changes a person's fucking life.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I really hope the NLP Warrior shit starts doing, because everybody I've had this like failed, mostly mental, because I'm the type of trainer where if you've got some kind of medical issue or something that's holding you back, as long as you keep doing what I'm suggesting, I will work my ass off until we figure it out. Because I mean, sometimes I get people that a lot of other trainers just can't do because they've got some kind of issue that holds them back, and trainers don't know how to get around it. I was like, I know enough to figure out how to get around it. And if you stick with me long enough and do what I got to do, we will fix it. I'm not guaranteeing it's tomorrow, but I guarantee you, out of all the people you see, I will be the one that figures it out.
That's what gives us the edge over the other trainers, because we have the tools that fix the issue first before you start getting into these plans and routines. Of course, we have plans. It's not like we don't, but we want to fix. Our goal is to fix the issues, the mental issues that you have, so that you come out of it better. You have better attitude, you have better knowledge, perspective on how to deal with those issues yourself. And then you can get right into the plans and the programs that will get you to your goals better. Yeah. Right.
For you guys that are wanting, if you come into the project and you want the diet plan stuff too, I think I can handle that at a group level, because I've done it before. So as far as the workload, it shouldn't be that bad.
Yep.
I'll figure out a way to do it on a group level to where all working together and it's more of a guidance thing, and you guys will get some results. So for you all that decide to join and become members and you want the dieting and training aspects of it too, instead of just the mental, I think I can take that workload depending on how many it is. Maybe I'll do a separate thing on the side where the ones that are on the diet come in and we troubleshoot in group. Like what I talked with you guys before, I've always wanted to try to do that. I think it'd be pretty interesting to do. So when you guys come in, put out the information for the seminar and where to go to sign up. So
all you got to do is go to www.nlpwarrior.com. That's nlpwarrior.com. And on the top, there's a banner that says register me. Click it. It'll take you to an event page where you can register. Now be aware, I haven't updated the date yet. I will do that sometime this weekend. Once the date is updated, so for those of you who don't know, it's going to be in February, and the date that we have is, if I'm not mistaken, is February 11th. is when we have it at 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what that is in Hawaii time. I think it's 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Yeah. So that's when we're going to conduct this seminar. Join now because the seats are going to be taken fast. This is your chance to register and join this amazing webinar where we're going to talk about this stuff. We're going to go a little bit more into detail about what we do, right? In our process.
Yes. So yeah, good opportunity. Guys, at least drop in here. I can't hurt you guys. Come in and check it out and see what we have to say. I'm guarantee you'll find it interesting. And on that note, Akira, it's been good. I'll see you next weekend.
Peace out.